The Kite Runner by Khalid Hassani. In times of turmoil and upheaval, Afghans unite together behind their culture. They preserve their cultural identity throughout whatever changes they may be forced to endure. No matter what happens, Afghans stick together. Today we're going to look at The Kite Runner by Khalid Hassani through 3 different viewpoints using the cultural school of criticism. The first viewpoint that we're going to look at is Afghanistan before the wars. To do this, we're going to study 3 different characters: Ali, Baba, and Hassan. Ali is the father of Hassan. He's extremely religious. The only tapestry in his room, in their entire hut, the only decoration, says Allahu Akbar, which does not mean I'm going to blow you up. In fact, it means God is greatest, a reminder to Muslims that their God is greater than any challenge that they could face. And it's good that Ali knows this because he is a Hazara and not a Pashtun. Pashtuns are the domineering race in Afghanistan, with Hazaras underneath them, because Hazaras are Sunni Muslims and Pashtuns are Shia Muslims. In spite of the oppression and the dangers that come from being a Hazara instead of a Pashtun, Ali is extremely satisfied with his role in society. He never questions his place in society. He never shows any disrespect to those above him, and he always does what is expected of him, tolerating any insult from anyone. He displays the honor of the Afghans because he marries his cousin Sanabar to restore honor to his dishonored uncle. The next character we're going to look at is Baba. Baba is the father of Amir. He is the stereotypical tough guy. Amir says his father once wrestled a bear in Baluchistan with his bare hands. Page 12. He is honorable in the Afghan way. He builds an orphanage. He marries higher. He always succeeds in what he does, and he always repays his debts. He always defied what people thought he would be able to do. For example, when he built the orphanage, people told him to hire architects. He refused to, and when he succeeded, they were all awed by his triumphant ways. He shows the honor and pride of an Afghan man when he refuses food stamps. They come to America, and in spite of the fact that he's lost almost everything he ever had in Afghanistan, when he's offered food stamps, a way to get by easily, he says, "Thank you, but I don't want." Page 130. The final character we're going to look at for pre-war Afghanistan is Hassan. Hassan is the son of Ali, or so he's introduced. He is in fact the son of Baba, a conflict that shows us, in the most important ways, everything that was wrong with Afghan society. Baba and Ali were both too afraid to tell anyone that Ali did not have a son, and that Hassan was truly Baba's son. Hassan could have had a much better life if he had known that he was Baba's son instead of Ali's. Hassan is humble and happy, and he accepts and understands his place in society. In fact, when Asif attacks Hassan and Amir in the street, Hassan calls Asif Aga, an Ottoman honorific title for a civilian or military officer, in spite of the fact that Hassan is threatening Asif with blinding in one eye if he doesn't back off. The next viewpoint we'll look at is Afghanistan culture in America. The first character we'll look at to define this is General Tahiri. General Tahiri is the father-in-law of Amir. He is at the head or the very top of a more equalized social hierarchy in America, a social hierarchy that still follows the rules of the traditional Afghan hierarchy, but is more equalized and flat because they're all in the same boat. They didn't all literally come over in the same boat, but they are all now in the same social boat. General Tahiri worked for the Ministry of Defense in Kabul and was a well-decorated general. However, in America, he's on food stamps and refuses to get a real job because he waits for his Afghan to come back. The reason he does this is because, as Baba says, he has Nang and Namus, honor and pride, the tenets of Afghan men. Page 145. The next character we'll look at is not actually a character, it is a thing, the flea market. The Afghan flea market is a way that the Afghan Americans preserve their culture in America while still earning a living the American way. It has the gossip that Afghans would have had in America, and it includes Afghan music, tea, and connections with those they left behind in Kabul, so they can talk about their past lives. As Amir says, it had tea, politics, and scandal, the three ingredients of an Afghan Sunday at the flea market. Page 138. The flea market is more or less a little Afghanistan that the Afghans in America enjoy as a replacement for the country they've lost. The final character we'll look at for the Afghan culture in America is Amir. Amir is ready to be a new person in America. In fact, he says, "For me, America was a place to bury my memories." Page 129. In spite of the fact that he wants to be done with his experiences in Afghans, he still remembers and is in fact a part of Afghan culture. He calls Saraya, his lady crush and eventually wife, the morning sun to his Yelda. Yelda was the darkest, coldest winter night, and the morning sun is the hope coming back to his life. Page 144. The final viewpoint that we're going to look at today is oppressed Afghanistan. In Afghanistan under oppression, the first character we'll look at is Farid. Farid is the truck driver that smuggles Amir into Afghanistan from Pakistan. He has a lot of the traditional views. They're altered from his years of suffering and fighting in Afghanistan under oppression. He believes in the traditional Nang and Noom, honor and pride no matter what. Believes Afghans have always struggled against those in power, and initially he thinks that Amir is just another overlord, another stupid rich boy come to sell his father's property. In fact, Farid doesn't really forgive Amir or like Amir in any way until he realizes that Amir is acting, at least in his opinion, out of honor in rescuing an orphan. He thinks that Amir is doing the right thing, and so he forgives Amir for being rich and realizes that he may have judged Amir more harshly than he should have. The next character we'll look at is Asaf. Asaf is definitely the bad guy. He is the big bad wolf of the book. He's a terrible person. He fights with the Taliban, he raped Hassan, he rapes Sorab, clearly. He takes the orphans from the orphanage. And yet, in his own way, Asaf is just a product of his culture. He's a German and Afghani mix. His mother was German, his father was an Afghanistan man. He believes that Afghanistan is a beautiful mansion littered with garbage, and he thinks that he's responsible for taking out the trash. Because of him being a hybrid like that instead of pure Afghanistan, much like Voldemort, he acts out of rage towards others like himself, because he's not a pureblood. So he sees his culture as something beautiful that needs to be respected and saved, and so he goes about the ethnic cleansing of Hazaras and anyone who doesn't conform to his standards of Afghan culture. In spite of all this, he really does have pride in his people. The final character we'll look at is the director, Zaman. He owns the orphanage, the new one in Kabul. And although it's easy to see him as a bad guy, a horrible person, in his own way, he's still obeying his honor and Nang the best way he can by taking care of orphans. In his view, he's doing all that he can, and he's just forced to make a few sacrifices to keep himself above the law. Farid, with his traditional honor, judges Zaman extremely harshly. He almost kills him. But in reality, In the director's opinion, he's just doing the best he can in the reality he sees before him. In conclusion, the basic tenets of the Afghanistani culture, Nang and Noom, honor and pride, rule all of our characters in one way or another. Ali understands his place and he takes pride in his Hisara place. Baba has honor and pride in everything that he does. Hassan, much like Ali, takes pride in being humble. Our characters in America, General Tahiri has honor and pride. He will not work because he believes that he will be called back to Afghanistan. As long as he believes that, he can't become an American. In the flea market, we see Afghan culture preserved in a pure format, a little Afghan for all the Afghan Americans to live in. Amir, as much as he seems to hate what Afghan culture has done to him, he always has been and always will be an Afghan. Farid still believes in the traditional Nang and Noom, the honor and pride. No matter what he has to do to survive, he still sees Afghanistan as a noble place. Asaf, in spite of his evil, believes in a beautiful mansion, and he just wants to make Afghanistan good again, because he has pride in what he sees as his people. And even the director of the orphanage, he obeys his honor the best that he sees that he can, and he takes pride in saving orphans. This has been a culture analysis of The Kite Runner by Khalid Hassani.